Shalom. Shalom, my people. Shalom. Shalom, my people. Check this out, folks. I know I was here yesterday, but I'm here today again. It's just so much to give, so much I want to just give out. You know, it's free, no tithe and no nothing, just me studying and giving you the word. I just love doing this here, all kind of knowledge. I noticed that the Bible said in Revelation 1:3, blessed is the man that readeth. Like I told you, I read this book, which is a great book, great author, James Baldwin. And I got tons of books. I know I got over, maybe, I say about 200 books maybe, and I don't read them all. Sometimes I go through them and read them again, but this is a good book too. It's called the 48 Laws of Black Empowerment, which is, if you read this and it's out of the Bible. Most of this stuff is out of the Bible. If you read the Bible, they just put it in this form. They put it in here. But most of the stuff that is in the Bible, it's part of the law that God gave us in order for us to strive as a community. But the reason why it don't work is because as a community, we're not in tune to God's word. We listen to it, but we take God out. This is another book that's good. Reclaiming Black Femininity. See, the lady name is Kendra Davis. She's on YouTube. She's good. She's good. So y'all listen to Pearl and give Pearl all the credit. Go to this woman here. She got a nice platform and she teach you the truth about the Black women. And I read every book so I get all the information I can because I need it all. And she give you all kind of points and views on what we need. And it's a good book to look at, good book to read. And part of that stuff is leadership that the so-called Black women don't want to relinquish, but they will submit to their boss. They will submit to society. They will submit to Pookie and Ray Ray, but they won't submit to a leader because women hate leaders. They love a weak man, but will choose a leader. But they don't want to be directly up under the leader because they're still what they call double-minded. But leadership is what we need today. We have no leadership in this world right now. There's no leadership, but we can't count on them to give us leadership. Our leadership come out of the Bible. Our leadership come out of the Bible. If we do not listen to the Bible, we have no leadership. But we must listen to the Bible in order to get leadership. See, if you go on earthly knowledge, you're going to perish. If you go on God knowledge, you're going to survive. We will not survive on earthly knowledge because the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who runs the earth? Who runs the world? Who has power to make the stars sing? Who has power to change the climate, the ozone on this earth? It's definitely not us. So it has to be Esau. Esau has the power on the earth because God said, I give it to the hand of the wicked. Because until we come back and start serving our God and getting the leadership, then we are lost. Today, drink. I always get a day drink. I try to stay healthy. I try to eat right. I'm not perfect, but I try to eat the food right. I got vitamins. I take all my vitamins, all my protein. Well, I don't really mess with protein, but I take that back. But I take all my vitamins. Protein, we don't need protein. We get protein out of food. So I use all my vitamins, the D, A, all you need. I study alkaline pills, all this kind of stuff to try to keep your skin smooth, keep your hands soft. Even when you're working in a field, I done met people say, well, how your hand so soft? And the stuff I do, my hands should have calluses on them because the stuff I put in my body and the stuff I roll in my hands. I take care of my body the best of my ability because in Corinthians, the Lord said, my body is a temple of God. So if I don't take care of my body, I'm disobeying the law, because the law will keep you taking care of your body. The law has certain food that you eat that make your body right. See, but if we don't eat, if we eat crab, lobster, shrimp, we got swollen legs, we got the gout, we got a headache, high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, heart attacks, all kind of stuff, because we disobey the law, because God said our body is a temple, and we don't use it right. We don't use the body as a temple as we're supposed to. But it's a temple to God, and we don't use it right. But I want to get to the lesson today, leadership in Israel. We are the 12 tribes of Israel. So-called Negroes, so-called Mexicans, so-called Native American Indians. But we have no leadership nowhere. We have nobody we can pull up and say, this is our leader. The church has failed us. There's no leadership in the church. The pastors are marrying men and adopting babies. The pastors are marrying other men and adopting babies, calling them the first man, and the church is full. Because that's why you can't follow the law on this earth. You have to follow the spiritual law, which is the Most High. See, this is in the Apocrypha. See, they take, if you got to get the King James Bible 1611 in order for you to get the understanding of the whole complete Bible. Because then you read Ecclesiasticus, you said, this is what we need. The Catholic Church took this out. But my daughter went to a Catholic school when they was young. And I seen it in the Bible. So that's what kind of Bible is this? But I didn't have the knowledge to know that is all part of the Bible. So you get the Bible, if you don't get the King James Version 1611, it won't be in there. But the Apocrypha is extra learning that we need to survive. Our leadership roles is in here in great detail. Not Ecclesiasticus, what you see in the Bible. But without 1611, you have the Apocrypha, you got Ecclesiasticus. You got Ezra 1 and 2. You got Judah, Baruch. You got all, it's all in this Bible, but we don't have it because they took it out. But guess what? We waking up and we have it. This is the King James Bible 1611. 1611, the King James Bible. I'm trying to give you information. I have time and I study. And I study for you and I read these books for you to give you this information. Ecclesiasticus 44:4. Leader of the people by their counsel. A council of people chose you to be the leader. On your job, you have leaders, you have supervisors, foremen, you have leaders. And most of the time, the leader is chosen by the supervisor and the foreman, and the leader is like over this group. You have a foreman as overseer, but you have a leader that's over the group. He might have a group of 5 when he's out on assignment. If they do not respect that leader, you can't get stuff done. And by their knowledge, they pick him by the council pick him, and by the knowledge of him knowing that job. He might go out there, he done went to school or did something, he got some expertise in that specific job, or he been doing it long enough that he done picked it up. And so he knows that job of learning meat for the people. He done learned that job and he knows it. So he's able to get the people together and perform that job. Wise and eloquent in their instruction. This equivalent to our jobs and will equivalent to the knowledge of God. Because you done been on jobs where they done put people, especially us, over us. And when us get a job over us, we try to destroy us. We don't teach each other right. Oh, we call each other all kind of names. You got jobs where people come home crying because of us treating us bad because we don't have the eloquence in how to teach people. When I was working for the city and they were offering us classes, I took all the classes on leadership, supervisory, management, and communication. And I know how to deal with everybody. I can go on my job where I used to work. Everybody would tell you that I was a great leader. Not me bragging on myself, but what people told other people told me. They would call me, even now I'm retired, they call me still, asking for information. I still have some of my guys that were up under me come by my house. We sit out in the garage and talk 15, 20 minutes. I have guys from my job that come to me and gave me gifts and said, thank you. Burberry Cologne. This is another man coming here, and he's a young man. He's a young guy. He could be my son. He could be my son. And he said, man, thank you for the wisdom that you gave me. Guys called me and said, man, I wish you was here. I tried to lead up under my leadership when I was with my job. I have made 4 or 5, I can't quite remember. I think it was 4 to 5, become foremen. Some of them supervisors now. Because I would talk to them, teach them, patience with them. If I had problems, I left them at the gate. When I came in, I was the same guy, 37 years. Them guys never seen me waver. Now, when I first came, I was a younger man, and I didn't know how to handle it. When I heard they were calling us niggers, written around on the back of trucks. This is 85. They were still having that. Some of the stuff I took my out, and I did what I had to do. I damaged some people. I mean, real bad. So I learned from all them things, and through my learning, I learned the people. I taught them. I would let them do jobs. I would put responsibility. I had speeches. I said, if I'm your friend and you love me, then you won't make me where I have to write you up. And I never had problems. They would all come to me. I would talk to their wives, their kids, come to the house. Uncle Bo. That is like high compliments when you got your workers call you Uncle Bo. My worker watch his baby. I remember when his baby was born. Watch his baby come up. They grown men in college and gone now. So I have learned how to do this. This Bible. Exodus 18:25. And Moses chose able men out of all of Israel and made them head over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10. See, we need this structure right now in our community. We need rulers in our communities. You got this section, you are more advanced. I give you 1,000 men. Or you right there, so I give you 100 men. And so forth and so forth. As your knowledge grows, and as we die, because we're going to die, you move on up in the leadership of our community. Some people can only handle 10. Some people can handle a different amount. But we need leadership in our community, men, not the women so much. Women can handle the detailed work. Let the man do the physical work. God said, I chose man. We do not have enough men role models. Men with leadership roles and skills. Because that's why our kids out here running wild. They have no respect because we are not showing the responsibility is on the man. We have our women doing the underwork, which is appreciated. It's a lot of work in there. It's appreciated. Get this book. Because we need that feminine black woman when we're doing this leadership. We need that woman. Because that woman would grab that boy and say, I love you. show that feminism. But that man will go out there and say, I'm going to kick you in your ass. You got to tighten up. The world don't owe you no understanding, so you need both. But you can't have her want to be him and him want to be her. It won't work. See, God set up a hierarchy. God, Jesus, man, woman, children. It would not work out of that order. We cannot have a community without that in order or in place. It won't work. 1 Timothy 5, 1 and 17. Rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father and a young man as a brother. Do not rebuke an elder. Have respect for an elderly man. Now, it's boundaries to that. Because we got some unruly elderly people. Guess what? Walk off. Walk off from him. Don't sit there and argue with him. Walk off. That's your job as a younger man. That's your job as a learner. Because one day you're going to be an older man and you're going to want that same respect. So it will come back to you. Walk off. Because sometimes we get beside ourselves as older men and don't want to listen. Because sometimes that younger man that been around the young kid, he got a little better understanding. Because sometimes centuries change. I'm 57. It's hard to deal with a 20-year-old because my values as a 57-year-old man coming up in my time might be more valuable than his value at this age and time with the computer and all that stuff. So I need that 20-year-old man. We need each other. So if we don't have respect for each other, it's not going to work. That is why in the black community, it's falling apart. God came back for us until we understand this Bible. I told you yesterday, James wrote a letter to the scattered sheep, which is the house of Israel. He's talking to us. This is our letter. It's a federal law for them to read the Bible. Because the law says if you read somebody's mail, it's considered a federal law. You can go to prison. This Bible is our letter. It's our instruction guide. It's how to act. And they're reading our Bible. They're reading our letter. And then guess what they do? They go in there and change our letter. It's a federal offense. Well, you just imagine if it's a federal offense to a human, just imagine what kind of offense it is to God when God come back. 1 Timothy 5:1. That was 1 I just read. This 17. Let the elder that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word of the doctrine. The word of the doctrine is this. The Holy Bible. That's the word of the doctrine. Because you can't lead without this. That's why none of our leaders are in leadership in the politic world. It's not for us. Because they does nothing according to this. They got the Moedic law is in here. The Mosaic law is in here. The United States of America follow it supposedly. But they get their ruling out of here. But now they have done everything else with it. They changed it. Because if they did, a lot of these stuff that's happening in the world would not be happening. See, but guess what? Our people do not follow this. Christianity has destroyed us as a people. Christianity had destroyed us as a people. You can't lead without the law. It will not work. The law will give you got laws you got laws in society. The police give you laws. Your job give you laws. You have laws as a pedestrian just walking the street. You have laws as driving your car. You have laws with nature, animals, ecosystem got laws. The so-called Negro, so-called Mexican, so-called Native American, the only one that don't have no laws. Do as you feel. Do as you like, but not by this Bible. That's why our young men are failing us. The older men are failing them. And the woman is failing the young women because the old man want to be a young man, so he failing the youth. An old woman want to be a young woman, she failing the youth of the woman. So we will have this continuous cycle of failure amongst our people because nobody want to follow the road no more. Without this here people, we're not going to make it. And when times get hard, guess what's going to happen? The roads will balance out. You have that balance. Because when the war comes, that woman will be forced to be up under the leadership of a man, or she's going to go out to war and get killed. And 9 times out of 10, she's going to want to be under the protection of that man because she know that man can protect. Who's going to feed her? Who's going to go out there and hunt for her? Because she going to need that. She going to need that protection. The balance going to come back. Right now, we're all balanced. You can look out in the world. You can look out in the world and see that we all balanced. But that stuff will come back because God going to make sure it come back. But without this here, we can't have great leaders in our community because nobody going to follow the law. The law says certain things you can do and you can't do. You can't go out here doing all this wicked stuff that you see and expect God to respect you. We will fail as a community. We are failing as a community. Everybody got a Martin Luther King drive. And we know that's the division between the niggers, the Negroes, the blacks, the Afro nigger, whatever you want to call us. That is the division. They know that we stay on that side of the track. See, back in the days, I still do. The old men used to tell us it's on the other side of the track. They will always say that we're on the other side of the track. Well, instead of saying on the other side of the track, now everybody in the United States of America know that when you see Martin Luther King Drive, because every city has it, that's the divide between the haves and the have-nots. 1 Peter 5:5. Likewise, you youngers, submit yourself unto the elders. Our young men are so unruly as of lately in the last few generations, maybe the last 10, 20 years. It's getting worse and worse and worse because guess what? They know that if I take the man out the house, let the woman raise the boy will be an unruly young man. He'll be an unruly young man because a woman is not built to teach a man how to be a man. So that same woman that's complaining about the no good man, check your sisters because they raising that unruly, no good, lazy boy that you gonna marry. Because for whatever reason or not, they don't let the government kick the man out the house. Because the government and Esau that runs this world know that if a man is not in his family or with his sons, especially, that he crippling our rise. Because the Chinese man is in his family, regardless whether he's divorced or not. The white man is in their kids' lives. See, but they want to destroy us as a people. So they target us. So you got feminine boys out here because they've been raised by single mothers. And 80% of the marriage, the woman filed for divorce. If she have a college degree and have a bunch of degrees, 90% of divorces is filed by her. Yea, all of you be subject to one another. Be clothed with humility, for God resists the proud and give grace to the humble. You have to humble yourself down. We all together. This ain't gonna work if we separate it. It'll work if we like this here as a community, because we need all of us to make this thing work. Without us, and without all us, because the older man gonna get what he can't do certain things, you're going to need the younger man to do it. And we got to groom them into coming. But guess what? If we don't bring this back, it's doomed. Because the first teacher is the woman. So if this woman is masculine and not feminine, she's going to train that boy to be feminine because she's masculine. So now she's trying to switch the role. The late great Calvin Samuel said that if you can, this is how you can tell where you can help a woman. If that woman don't give that boy the biggest piece of chicken, if that woman tell that boy, tell the girl to go to college and be independent and teach the boy to be soft and weak, she cannot be saved. I understand what he's saying because the roles have been reversed. She teaches. The society will not run without a man, without men in control. You show me an army or a nation where there's 2 million women in the army and 1,000 men. There's no such thing as a nation that strives like that from the beginning of time to right now. But we have to put on that clothes of humility and guess what? And work together and be a family. But in order for us to be a family, we have to fall into that role. We have to get into that everybody has a role to play. And if we get out of that role, it's separation. And then when you like this here, it's a separation, it explodes. Thessalonians 5, 1 Thessalonians 5, 12 through 13. And we beseech you, brother, to know them which labor among you and are over you in the Lord, and admonish you. And we beseech you, brethren, to know them which labor among you and are over you in the Lord, and admonish you. Know who your leaders are. Know who the true man of God is. Quit going to these churches that is not a real leader of the community. Community is getting fed up now because guess what? Here we are in a community. For a prime example, I'm gonna have to start calling these people out. A prime example: Shiloh Metropolitan Baptist Church. I started in that church when it was nothing. And we built that church into a big old giant church. It's huge on Beaver Street. I remember I have a big family. My brother was pastor. It was 8 of us, including my mother and father. So it was 7 of us. My brother passed, and my mother and father. So that's 9. And we had kids. So our family was huge. Had husband, wife, boyfriends. I had 6 sisters, most of them boyfriends, nieces and nephews, all in these churches, giving out tithe money. My daddy come from old school. He was in Georgia. His house, his church. See, they believe when you was a kid, so you got to think of 1940 or something. When you was a kid, they was assigned to the church, and that was their church until they died. Well, he was here since he was 19. So when he died, they wouldn't even bury my father because he wasn't a member. But my father gave all this money. We gave all this money to this church, Shiloh Metropolitan Baptist Church. And Gilliard was the pastor of the church. Everybody knew Gilliard, the same one that went to prison for 5 years for messing with these kids and all this other kind of stuff. My daddy, I'm taking him to church on Wednesday. Even when he was sick with Counsel, I had to walk him up there. He wanted to go to church. He would give $100. He didn't care about signing that because he couldn't write anyway. But God gave him wisdom, knowledge, understanding. He had money. And he would just sometimes $100. Just put it in there, son. You don't want to be acknowledged. Just put it in there, son. I would take him to church, just put the money in there. When it came down to bury my father, They wouldn't bury him because they say he wasn't a member. His member was in Georgia, Walreed, Georgia, a little church, a little small church. Y'all know how them churches was in Georgia. Leadership. These pastors are greedy. God gonna come back. He gonna destroy them because God said that he gonna destroy these pastors. It's in the scriptures. Woe unto the pastor that scatters my sheep. God just gave it to me. Woe unto the pastor that scatters my sheep. These pastors are scattering their sheep. Yeah, you got all the. I watched them. There was an old lady in the parking lot that's across the street from the church. Okay. The lady wouldn't sell. Old lady. They built around this lady. We parking up there. I'm not knowing this stuff here, man. I'm sorry. I apologize to that woman and their family if they even exist anymore. She was an old woman then, 80, 90 then. We built around this church. I'm security on the security team. We built around this. They built the parking lot and let that lady house sit right in the middle. All these people come in her yard every Sunday. We destroyed a community. And right now today in that community, you got this big old multi-million-dollar church, and it's poor around that whole area. Drug infested, raggedy, no store, no hospital, no library, no nothing in that area where that church come from. God gonna come back and get these people. That's why they need leadership. We have no leadership. They had doctors, lawyers, police officers in that church. The same wicked police officers that knew that he was doing what he was doing, they followed him when he got out of prison and went to another church. But what I'm saying is that they are not leaders that we should be looking up to. We're looking up to the wrong people. Thessalonians 1:5-13. And to esteem them very highly, love their work's sake, and be a peace among yourselves. We have to vet these people. These people not doing nothing for our community. Why are you going to church giving our community? I should not have to be going to a real estate broker trying to buy a house. You can have $80,000, $100,000. If they don't want you to move in a certain neighborhood, they can block you. And you can have a 750. I'm speaking of myself. 750, 749 credit score. If they don't want you, they ain't gonna accept you in their place. You can have $100,000 in the bank. You can have $10,000 in savings. They're not going to accept you. Because guess what? We should not have to go to these people. We should have to go to our church. Our church should be buying up the property, building houses for our people. But it's not going to be that way. Because God said that he woe unto the pastor that scattered my sheep. Because we as a people are not vetting people. Because guess what? Because we still want to be amongst that same kind of stuff. Ecclesiasticus 32:7-9. Speak, young man, if there be need of thee, and yet scarcely when thou art twice asked. Elders supposed to be running this place right now with the knowledge that God gave us. Young man, if you've been asked to speak, think twice before you speak. Make sure you give account. Make sure you backing that righteous leader that you got. You should be backing that righteous leader. You should be backing that righteous leader if you're a righteous leader. Think twice before you speak because you're not quite yet groomed yet. Your time is coming. You should be learning. If he's a righteous man, that's what you should be learning from. Let their speech be short, comprehending much in few words. Be as one that knows and yet hold his tongue. Don't be so brash, young man. Your time coming. Because you got young men that want to be here so bad that they will cut your pastor or cut your leader legs off by lying. Because they want this spot. They think it's glamorous. So that's why it says, speak short, comprehend what you speak, and yet hold your tongue even if you know it's right. Be humble. If thou be among great men, make not thyself equal with them. When ancient men are in place, use not many words. That's what I just said. When you got leaders, ancient men is elderly men. They done been around. We got some knowledge in us. So when I done witnessed that. You talking, then they want to get in. They want to get in so bad. Listen, your time coming. One day you gonna be an ancient man, and somebody gonna do you the same way. So you gotta be careful. Shalom, my people. Shalom, my people. Hey, I almost forgot. I keep it in front of me. This is why they can't find our bones. Our bone is in the Catholic churches underneath the Vatican. The Pope don't know who we are. Everybody know who we are but us. Let me read Jeremiah 8:1. At the time, saith the Lord, they shall bring out the bones of the kings of Judah, the bones of his princes, which is us. The king is like leadership, Jesus Christ, and we are the princes. And the bones of the priests, the Israel hated, which is the Levites, is the priests. And the bones of the inhabitant of Jerusalem, we are the inhabitant, the regular people, us, the regular people, out of the grave. Because they got them. They got our stuff, but they got, how can you think? If you enslaved by the Egyptians, you died amongst the Egyptians, how come they can't find none of our bones, but they can find the Egyptian bones? Because they don't want you to know who you are. But there's going to come a time when God going to reveal all that. Shalom, my people. Shalom, my people. Hey, just mess light. It's very easy to mess light. I love you. 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 I just want you to thank the Most High. And I love you very much. Shalom, my people. Shalom, my people. Shalom.